Hey, there it is. All right.
So, I am Christopher Brandon with the Coeur d'Alene Public Library and the Cooperative Information Network.
Oh, I thought there was a slide of us. We called this the I'm George Williams. I'm the Next Search Catalog Coordinator, Northeast Kansas Library System. And we titled this The Possibility of Notices, a live recording of the every other Thursday training video. And the alternate title is Recording This Live Might Be a Really Bad Idea.
So far, we're out to good stuff.
Yeah, this is going great. We already screwed up, so well done. So our videos are every other Thursday. We wanted to be called Monday Minutes, but some of you already had that. And we didn't, and we decided every Monday would just be a lot of work, so we picked another day of the week and decided to do it every other week. And there's the links to where you can see the videos. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Or smash that like button.
Yeah. And there's my comment is always there's no need to smash anything. You should speak with adults. And we are recording this live, and so this will be on YouTube in a couple of weeks.
Yes, we do have another episode that is coming out this next week. It's following episode. This is actually an advanced recording for our third episode for this.
This will be like sometime in October that you'll get to see this, if you even bother to watch it. So we have talked about notices and slips before. One of our early videos was on slip logic, season 1, episode 3. And I talked about something that I've been doing for years and years, even before I was in Kansas. I was using JavaScript and jQuery to customize the notices on particularly the hold slip, because that was something I always felt in Koha, the hold slip. If the item needs to be held here at this library that you're at, it's the same slip as if you need to ship it to a different library. And so I use some logic and some jQuery to make it so that if it needs to be shipped, it doesn't print any patron data, and if it needs to be held here, it doesn't print any shipping data.
And I was using similar logic in that, and I was basically making, if the hold is being transferred, it is basically mimicking the transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and that's what I did too. And then we did another one with Lizette Shear, who used to be a South County Library and is now a Bywater employee, and we did a follow-up to that later on that year about the same thing with template toolkit, and that's what we're going to review today. And then we've done IOL workflows with notices and current session checkout slips with notices. We did that one not too long ago because it was somebody at
it was Michael.
Was it Michael? I thought it was somebody in plans that wanted to.
Was it?
The issue was, you know, how could you do a quick slip?
Yeah, it was. Okay.
Could you do a quick slip that just shows the things that were printed out this session?
Right.
Like normally, if somebody comes in at 10 o'clock in the morning and they check out something and you print the quick slip, that's the only thing they've checked out that day. So that's the only quick slip. But if they come back at like 5 in the afternoon, you print the same quick slip, it's going to have both of those items on it. So Christopher and I both came up with some different ways of using template toolkit logic to say, just show me the things that have been checked out like in the last 15 minutes, or I don't remember how you do it.
Yeah, we did it. We did it with a couple of different approaches, looking at within a time frame and also within the branch. So we looked at the branch. So if you were hopping branches, checking things out at different branches, it would only do what your current branch is that you're checking out at.
Right. So the next hold slip, and I'm going to pull this up on the other computer and share that screen. So the next hold slip is the one that I just mentioned. And if you check it out, I'm going to stop the sharing on that screen and go to this one. So this is Next Search Catalog. So this is the hold slip. That's our one of our noises for checking them. So what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to grab this URL. A lot of people don't know this secret. You can I can try and grab it. I'm going to open up a new tab here. And so this is the this is what this notice looks like when the item is on hold. It doesn't have any of the shipping information. I didn't want that to close. So it's not going to have any of the shipping information. It's going to say hold the item here. So this is a long way to go to get to this. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to change locations. Where do you want to go in Kansas? Let's go to Atchison, because they're at the top of the list out there. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Can't do the URL. I think if I put that same URL here, it should pull up. This is the slip. It's the same slip as if I check that item in, and now it's going to go to Atchison. It doesn't have any of the confidential information in it. So, and that's all done with template toolkit logic. And if we close this browser window, we should be sharing the presentation there, right? Oh, we got this stupid little window open there.
So needless to say, we can use a lot of logic to customize our slips and our notices.
And the key in this notice is if we start the template toolkit logic by saying if the whole branch is not equal to branches get logged in branch code. This is a great piece of template toolkit. It's branches.get logged in branch code is going to tell you which branch you're operating at. And if the whole branch code is different than that, then you put in the content, the HTML for the slip for if you want the item to be shipped. And then else if says if the branch code does equal get login branch code, then you put in all the content you want for if the item needs to be picked up and put on the hold shelf at this branch. So you print one slip for shipping and one slip for the item is being held here. Now, I know a lot of you, if you're not working in a consortium, this isn't that important because the hold slip is, you're not shipping anything. But for us with 50 branches, 50 different locations, a third party courier system, not just a third party, but the Kansas courier system is operated by Henry Industries, and they have subcontractors all over the state. So we don't want libraries putting that confidential information that's on the slip that it's being shipped on thousands of items a day that are going all across the state. So this completely prevents that. There are plenty of other ways that our staff can mess up and send confidential information to the courier system, but the hold slip isn't one of them in our system.
And if you watched our video on ILL workflows advanced, we also use those if statements. I used that to hijack the hold slip so that we could use it to change the messaging in there if we were using that for ILLs. So we essentially created a whole new slip that didn't exist and using the holds mechanism. So when we triggered an ILL that was for a patron through our hold system, it would generate an ILL message that let them know that it's already checked out to them and waiting for them and their time is ticking away, that type of thing. So be sure to check out that video.
Well, it seems to me this is also how you hijack the printing to get when patrons fill out their registration online. Wasn't that template toolkit that does that online patron registration form? That's something different.
That was something different because I completely built that in script.
Okay. So other examples of using template toolkit logic, the auto renewals notice uses template toolkit logic. That's kind of built, Koha comes with that. You know, whether or not the auto renewal is successful determines which notice is produced. And you use the template toolkit logic with the SMS thing we were talking about yesterday.
Yeah. So there are some quirks about, you know, if you're using SMS or particularly a phone system for making calls, because if you're doing that for overdues, you don't have the same kind of mechanism that you have with the rest of your notices, where patrons can pick and choose what kind of notices that they get. So if they want all three, they get all three, although the phone will not go through if it was delivered another way. So there's a whole nother mess right there. If, you know, they're choosing all three methods, they don't necessarily get all three methods if they had some of the other methods selected. So, but with overdues, it's a lot messier, because with overdues, they don't get to pick and choose, and so they may get all three. And so we had to throw some logic in there in those overdue messages to say, hey, if they don't have email and they don't have SMS, then do the print. If they don't have SMS, then do the phone. You know, there's some logic in there to check what methods that they had, so they weren't getting inundated with all these messages saying the same thing. So there's a little bit of trickery going on, and we had to use some template toolkit to get around that, so that we could do messaging in an efficient way and not just slam people with all these notifications.
Yeah, and we have a little bit of that too. One of the most common way I use template toolkit is to keep the notices from printing things like if it's printing like an author title call number, if there's no author, instead of leaving a blank line there, I've got some logic that just leaves it blank. If the title's blank, there's just nothing instead of a blank line. So there's all kinds of crazy things you can do with the notices and slips. Should we take questions, or should we try and get through it before?
Let's get through our stuff.
Okay, so we'll.
Oh, yeah. I was just gonna give another example.
Okay. So there are a lot of resources in Koha for notices. There are several resources, and that's one of the things we'll talk about in just a second, is some of the deficiencies of those. But there is, in the wiki, there's a notices and slips library. There is a customizing notices and slips web page that has I didn't look at it too carefully, but the last time I looked at it, I noticed that most of the updates on there were from Barton Chittenden. When did Barton leave Bywater? Was that like, and it's been about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years since he's worked. So there's a lot of good things out there, but
and these are the lesser known libraries. And so yeah, it's been a while since people added some fresh stuff to it.
There is specifically a notices with template toolkit page. The notice and slips library does have some template toolkit examples in it. And there's another page I found called template toolkit plugins that is crazy blank. There's all kinds of headings with no information. It's like, these are all the plugins, and at the top kind of describes, these are the plugins, this is what they do, and then there's no, this is what they do section on most of those.
So what are we lacking here?
Documentation. That's, I think, the biggest deficiency right now with template toolkit, is that there is not a lot of documentation. And the notice and slips library, like I said, there are some template toolkits examples in there. They are the kind of things that you look at, though, if you're a beginner at this and you go, holy crap, what the hell is this? This template toolkit notice has 8 case statements in it. So there's so much stuff in there that is like, and some of them are really great notices and slips, but it's like for a lot of people, it's like the using a sledgehammer to kill a fly approach, where it's like, wow, this is a crazy notice and it's going to do all kinds of great things, but I have no idea what's going on. So
Just, and for myself, I've been around the block a few times with the notices and, I pick up things here and there, but just looking at what documentation is out there and what information is out there on template toolkit, it is spotty, and I still have to ask, I ask Lucas for a lot of help on these things because, some of these notices, I don't know what parts I can use. I don't even know how to, if I'm supposed to pluralize some of the references. It's a little wacky, and when you go in to look at the documentation, especially don't ever look at the documentation on template toolkits just in general, because you can get really overwhelmed with the information that's in there, and most of it doesn't apply. It's about what applies to koha specifically, and that's the part where we have to dig, and we need more documentation on.
So there's also so the old syntax in koha for notices includes a lot of the hungry alligator database fields, and there is a list. Those of you that have been here for a while know what the hungry alligators means: 2 sets of angle brackets around a database field. And in the notices, and a lot of the notices, there's all of the notice templates, there's a list of hungry alligator database fields that you can actually import into the notice template. And one of the things that would be nice is if there was something similar for template toolkit, especially because some of the newer notices, some of the notices that have been added to koha in the last 3 or 4 years, they can't use the hungry alligators. But in the template to create notices, they're still there. So it can be really confusing when you go in there and you know that, and you see all those things and you think I can put these things into the notice, and then when you put them in, it doesn't work because they don't work in that type of notice. And so I did, as promised yesterday, there are some bugs here that I'm going to point out that everybody should go to Bugzilla right now and comment. Add +1s, change them in discussion, change them out in discussion, do all kinds of crazy things with them to get people's attention. So bug 34472 and 15279, 34472, one of these, and I think it's that one. I think that is the one that I've completely forgotten what it does.
Can you click on it?
I could probably, yes, that's the one. Essentially what it says is documentation for template toolkit for notices is needed. If everybody could go in there and say +1, +1, +1, +1, that's something that we really need. And the other one would be, I think it's from Kyle at Bywater. He says, let's get rid of all of the hungry alligator stuff. And the comment that I left on that is, can we at least get some documentation for how to use the new system before we completely kill the old system? Because that would be going from having a little bit of documentation that works on several things to having almost no documentation on something that works.
I would go as far as adding, if we're going to do that, if we're going to add the references for the template toolkit instead of the hungry alligators, it would also be nice if we had some of the logic over there too, so that we can say we want to do an if else statement over there, and it would throw it in there, and then we could fill it in. So that would be a great addition.
That's easy to develop too, right? You guys could have that in. Here's some bugs related. Oh, you know what? I updated the slides this morning and I updated the wrong slides. So I have like 4 or 5 other bugs on the other slide that we moved these slides to this computer yesterday, and I upgraded the ones on my computer. So there are more than 0 bugs. This is not an empty set. This is kind of what we just talked about,
One of the things that we were discussing in this, the issues with notices and slips, is there really shouldn't be it shouldn't be necessary to use logic in
the whole slip. I was talking about having if the item is for here, there shouldn't be a reason, it shouldn't be necessary to have to use template toolkit to say if the item belongs here, if the whole pickup is for here, print one notice, if it needs to be shipped, do another one. And one of the bugs that isn't on the previous slide goes back to somebody who said that, why do we have this one notice that does two things? Why couldn't we have a separate notice if it needs to be shipped in a hold slip if it needs to be held?
Or, you know, at the very least, why isn't it, if it has to be shipped, why isn't it using the transfer slip?
Yeah.
And, you know, not using the hold slip? So, I mean, that seemed like an easy enough workaround, but, also we shouldn't have to use, template toolkit to tame the overdue notices, like we are right now. It would be nice if we could get some things worked out in there so that those phone notices, you know, so that we had better, adjustability of those overdue notices. Like I said, you can't customize what you want. If you want all these kinds of notices, then you should get all these kind of notices. If you don't, then you shouldn't. But I do know that overdues, we treat a little bit different, but we still need some work in that area and not have to jump through hoops in order to make them work the way they should.
Overdue notices should be fine tunable. That was yours. I don't remember. Is that kind of what you were just talking about?
Yeah. Just like, you know, like I said, you can't select what delivery method you want for that. The selections for what type, you know, what methods that those overdue notices go out is more broad than with the other notices. With the other notices, it's per user set. That you can granularly change those things in the account, but overdue notices, patrons don't have a choice of how they get those notices. So,
and the notice editor should tell you which fields are available. So right now, like I said, it's a one size fits all template for editing the notices. It's the same interface no matter which notice you're editing. And so you see currently all those hungry alligator fields. And if we move to template toolkit, it'd be really nice if you're editing the holds notice that it just showed the template toolkit fields that are available for use in holds notice, as opposed to showing you all the ones, whether they're available to use in that notice or not. And again, everybody should ask for better documentation.
hey George, I want better documentation.
Okay. And anybody that has some custom template toolkit notices, you should share them in the wiki. One of the, you know, even if they don't seem like they're wiki worthy, just more notices wouldn't hurt, especially some notices that are like easier than notices that don't have 8 case if statements would be awesome to see in there. And I know that I'm remiss on this because I think I worked with Koha for 5 years before I even knew there was a notices and slips library. So, and thanks for watching us record this.
And I will say that this was a painful experience.
Well, you're welcome. And of course, if anybody needs to get in touch with us, this is the way to communicate with us. We're both on the Bywater Slack and the koha-US Slack. So.
Well, it's not koha-US Slack,
That's right.
It's the Koha community Slack. So, and mentioning that, there will be more news going out to the community about the Koha community Slack workspace, but we're still smoothing out some ways to get signed up on that. So there will be more news on that as we get time to focus on it.
We went over, so I guess we got no time for questions. What was your comment?
Oh, I was just gonna say,
Oh, we should
a
have
couple of use cases that we have on the hold slip is the libraries wanted to be indicated if it's one use case for the template toolkit logic on the hold slip is to indicate homebound patrons. So our libraries want that some indication to print so that you can check the patron category. If it's homebound, then prints like home delivery on the hold slip so that they know how to process that. And another one is to print whichever field is specified in the patron main contact method. So it will print like the email address if the patient prefers that, or the phone number.
Yeah,
I also have an example. One thing we do is we indicate on our overdue notices and issue slips whether the item is renewable. So if the item has holds, or if it's a non-renewable item type, it'll say this item isn't renewable, otherwise it will say, go to your account to renew this item.
that's a really excellent idea. So is the homebound thing. I mean, these are all great ideas.
And I just wanted to mention real quick, and then we gotta shut down because we've got another presentation here, but you know, this isn't just about template toolkit, it's about notices in general. And one of my biggest beefs for years has been the editor for the templates, because it presents you 4 different places to put it, you know, build your template for, you know, delivery methods. Not all your slips use that, not all your notices use that, so it's, you know, you've got to choose the right one, and it would be nice if that editor was a little bit smarter about that. And so hopefully down the road they can smooth out some of these bumps, because right out of the box, you know, it's a little confusing, and you have to do some research in order to work on your slips and notices.
I don't remember which one it is, but there's one that the to get this slip to print properly, you have to put the code in the email interface.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember which one it is.
It's slip.
It's slip. So yeah, the issue slip and the issue quick slip, you put the code in the interface that says email, not in the interface that says.
Even the whole slip.
Yeah, I mean, it's, yeah.
Those are listed on the wiki.
Yeah.
Which ones do that weird thing, but it's a weird bad thing.
Yeah, it's a weird bad thing.
It's very, very bad.
Well,
No.
you'll see everybody look forward to not watching this one. It's on.
We'll have this cleaned up for you later. Sure. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.